go! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Club World Cup quarterfinal predictions. I'm sorry I failed to upload a long video for the round of 16 predictions. I just had a lot going on, and the time span from the group stage to the knockouts was really short. Already uploading a reaction video to my group predictions, it was close to impossible to squeeze in both that and a prediction video long form. But I still had to get out a short for you guys, and maybe it was just better I skipped prediction videos for that round because my resume is not looking so great right now. But in all fairness, the round of 16 was crazy. I mean, if you predicted Fluminense and Al Hilal to face one another in the quarterfinals, fair play. Anyway, of course, I'll try again. Some of the matches do look a bit more clear-cut, but you never know. But this will be my last long-form video for the Club World Cup. As you could probably tell from the background, I've been changing locations. Some of you might be familiar with this one. It's been a while since I've been here, but I'm back in Zagreb. And then I'm heading to a few more European countries I did not get the chance to visit. So shorts will still be coming out, but over the next few weeks, I will be taking a break from long-form videos. But in order to make up for all that, I'll also go over the rest of my predictions in this video. So after I predict each of the quarterfinals, I'll go through the rest of the bracket for the semis and final as well. All right, sorry for the long intro. We just had to go through a few updates, but let's get into the predictions, starting off with Palmeiras versus Chelsea. Now, I already uploaded a short about this. I know not every single football fan is thinking this way, but I'm seeing a lot of people say that Chelsea's road to the final is easy. And don't get me wrong, they might be a bit more blessed that they're on this side of the bracket compared to the other one where all the European teams are. But at this point, I'm assuming we've all learned you cannot rule out the Brazilian clubs in this tournament, and even the one Saudi club that is still in the race already knocked out a top Premier League club, scoring 4 goals against them as well. I would not say it's a clear-cut path for Chelsea to make it to the final stage. Of course, they show with their market value and standards, don't get me wrong. But as we've seen throughout the tournament, Brazilian sides have heavily frustrated many top clubs. And Chelsea are all familiar with this. Their only loss so far in the Club World Cup was to Flamengo. And it wasn't even really a close match either. I think Flamengo definitely outplayed Chelsea there. Throughout the match, they showed that they had way more identity and structure than the Blues. Nicholas Jackson getting subbed on and immediately getting a red card. Hopefully he has solved his temper issues now. Of course, they still have options in the front line. They just secured Liam Delap. Pedro Neto has been really solid this tournament, coming in clutch for them many times. Of course, Reece James being fit is a huge plus for the club. In the round of 16, they overcame Benfica. At the beginning, it looked close. Chelsea had a 1-0 lead for some time, but then at the 85th minute, there were some delays due to bad weather. Players had to wait for nearly or over 2 hours for the match to resume. Once it did, Benfica got a late penalty, but in extra time, Chelsea absolutely outplayed the Portuguese club. So that match definitely may have restored Chelsea's confidence, but now they have to take on another Brazilian side, and they have yet to beat one, obviously, in this tournament. This will definitely be an interesting test for Palmeiras. Don't get me wrong, I feel like they definitely have been tested throughout the tournament, but some might argue that their road on paper has not been the most challenging. They topped their group containing Inter Miami, Porto, and Al Ahly, but they shared points with the MLS club at the end as they drew on the final match day. Inter Miami were 2-0 up at one point. Palmeiras definitely showed grit to come back, but still the fact that they were in that position in the first place is definitely a bit questionable. Prior to that match, though, they had a goalless draw with Porto. You can claim that they somewhat proved themselves against a European club. However, they definitely proved their class against the Egyptian side. And then after all that, in the round of 16, they faced Botafogo, a side that they are obviously more familiar to. Botafogo definitely played an incredible defensive game throughout the tournament, being able to beat PSG. And after the match, Luis Enrique praised this side for being the toughest team to break down in terms of their back line. They made Palmeiras struggle as well. The match was 0-0 after 90 minutes, but Palmeiras eventually found the back of the net with a 1-0 victory in extra time. In that same match, though, in extra time, Gustavo Gomes got a red card. Not having their main captain available is a huge loss, especially for the back line against a Premier League side. But of course, if you want to look at the positives, their midfield is definitely composed, and they have many electric forwards to rely on. One of them being their most valuable player in the squad, Estevao, who is actually owned by Chelsea. He will be leaving the club as soon as Palmeiras are knocked out of the Club World Cup and moving to London. So maybe that will give Chelsea some extra motivation to knock them out. He was Palmeiras' most hyped up player going into the tournament, as his ability at 18 years of age is ridiculous. He hasn't been as potent in the Club World Cup, but still has had his moments. He hasn't scored a goal yet at the Club World Cup. It would be crazy if he's the one to score a match winner against the club that owns him. But even if he doesn't, so many great options up top. Vitor Roque could easily be the one to do so. So yes, as Chelsea know by now, you cannot rule out Brazilian clubs. And I would not be surprised if Palmeiras do pull off the result. But with Gustavo Gomes injured, obviously they do have some other backline reinforcements. I think that's a huge loss for them. Like I said, in this path, Chelsea are not the clear-cut favorites to advance to the final. In this match in particular, though, I'm saying that Chelsea win against Palmeiras 3-1. Best of luck to Palmeiras, though. It would be nice to see at least one Brazilian side in the semi-final. So who will Chelsea supposedly face? Al Hilal or Fluminense in the semi-finals? For me, this is one of the tougher matches to predict in this quarterfinal stage. So many reasons to back both these clubs right now. Fluminense's defensive record at the tournament is one of the best right now. They've got 3 out of 4 clean sheets, and 2 of them have been against UEFA clubs. The only time they didn't, surprisingly, was against a Korean club, but in that match, they definitely changed up their defensive tactics. Anyway, they obviously topped that group, then went on to get that clean sheet against Inter, scoring 2 goals there as well. Obviously, a lot of eyes are going to the veteran in the back line, Thiago Silva, but the 40-year-old is still 4 years younger than their main goalkeeper they've been utilizing. The man in between the sticks to very much help his side get 3 out of 4 clean sheets so far. Fabio is 44 years old. That is genuinely incredible, but all credit to their manager Renato Gaucho, who's made this side truly one of the toughest teams to break down. How is it going to go though against Al Hilal? Their defensive record was looking pretty solid themselves prior to facing Manchester City. Only conceded 1 to Real Madrid where they drew that match, and then let in 3 against Manchester City, but still got the best of them, scoring 4. This is already one of the best Asian clubs on paper right now. Obviously, they've been able to purchase a lot of top players recently, and now they're under some of the finest of guidance under Inzaghi. What a comeback the Italian manager has had. After losing 5-0 in the Champions League final to PSG, he's now held off Real Madrid to a draw and defeated Manchester City with an Asian club. He's clearly moved on from that UCL final heartbreak, while Inter are still recovering. And it's crazy how he could have faced his former club this early on into his new job. Yet now arrives a new test. He might have preferred Inter, honestly, as he knows the players in and out and could break down their tactics. However, he has yet to face a Brazilian side, and Fluminense have been very tough to break down, as you've just seen. Many of these players have been absolutely turning up individually as well. Mitrovic has yet to play a match at the Club World Cup, but no problem. The Brazilian forward Leonardo has already gotten 4 direct goal contributions in 4 matches, scoring 2 against Manchester City. In the midfield, Ruben Neves has been connecting the dots wonderfully. But a standout player in recent times is Bono. Despite him conceding 3 goals to Manchester City, he picked up 10 saves in that match. Once he'll be adding to his highlight resume as well. At the time of this recording, he has the most saves in the competition as well. Like I said, so many reasons to back both of these sides at the moment. I see this one being a flip of a coin. I don't like to rule out the Brazilian clubs, but Al Hilal have so much individual brilliance, and now they're working together wonderfully under fantastic management. It's probably going to be Al Hilal looking like they're controlling the match, but can Fluminense hold up defensively and have some very solid counter-attacking display? If Bono turns up like he did against Manchester City, it will be tough. But I'm going to say this match finishes 0-0, goes to penalties, and Bono will be the hero there. Al Hilal advance to the semi-finals. Of course, won't be surprised whatsoever if I do get this one incorrect. Toughest one for me, but let's move on to the other side of the bracket. Moving on to PSG versus Bayern. I could see whoever winning this match going on to win the whole tournament. Yes, both did get a tad bit exposed throughout this tournament so far, each picking up a loss. Bayern lost to Benfica on the final group stage match day, but they weren't starting many of their key players. PSG, on the other hand, lost to Botafogo, who I mentioned had an incredible defensive display against them. But in the other match days, both have shown to be very dominant teams. Especially in that first match day, Bayern have the most one-sided victory in Club World Cup history now against Auckland City FC. I wonder how many goals PSG would have scored against them though, as in the same match day, they scored 4 against Atletico Madrid. Each of these clubs in the round of 16 were able to score 4 goals. PSG did it against Messi's Inter Miami, and it was no real surprise there. Many people were just trying to predict how many goals PSG would end up scoring, but there was a clear winner. While Bayern and Flamengo, Bayern were the favorites going into that match, but Flamengo have really proven their class throughout the tournament. There were some scares throughout the match, but Bayern still proved to be the better side. And now they've scored 16 goals already in all their 4 matches. But this would mean a lot for PSG if they're able to pull through against Bayern Munich. They've had a 10 out of 10 season already so far, already winning 4 trophies, including the Champions League, of course. But the last time PSG made it to a Champions League final, they had never won the tournament before, and Bayern were the ones to end their dreams. In fact, in the last 6 meetings, Bayern have won 5 of them. So head-to-head does suggest Bayern right now, but PSG are looking incredible right now, and definitely new and improved compared to the previous years. After their best ever season, there's no denying that the club is in love with Luis Enrique, giving this side such an electric style of play to frustrate so many teams, and so many incredible reinforcements to rely on up top. Ousmane Dembele, Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, to youngsters like Due and Barcola, from all those Portuguese talent they're utilizing as well. Nuno Mendes in the backline, but in the midfield, João Neves and Vitinha have been amazing. While for Bayern's case, Harry Kane is one of the best strikers in the world, finally winning his first ever trophy. He somehow failed to score a single goal against Auckland, but did score 2 against Flamengo. And right now, their winger options are looking very much in form. Kingsley Coman and Olise have been superb. Bayern have obviously had some injury woes in the back line recently, and although it obviously hasn't costed them too much so far, I do think they are sometimes exposed. For example, against Boca Juniors, I hate to say it, but Stanisic was caught slipping there. They've conceded 4 goals so far in this tournament, which isn't bad, but PSG have only conceded 1 in their only loss. That being said, 2 of PSG's opponents so far were MLS clubs, so it's a bit hard to judge on that factor. Bayern will always be an elite side no matter what, but throughout this last season, they just don't seem as dangerous as they were prior. While PSG had a slow start to the season, at least in the Champions League, but only built up momentum. I think at the moment PSG are the slight favorites, but of course it's football, anything's possible, and they definitely will not be ruling out a side that has been getting the best of them head-to-head over the years. I'm not going to be surprised if Bayern pull it off, but I am going to go for a narrow PSG victory. I'm saying it finishes 2-1. I just think Enrique's management will outshine Kompany's a tad bit. Now we move on to our final quarterfinal match. We're looking at Real Madrid versus Dortmund. I'll be a bit more quick on my answer on this one. I do think there's a clear favorite in this. Of course, it's football, anything's possible. Cannot rule out a side like Dortmund as well, but I do think Real Madrid will win this one. I really love what Niko Kovac has been able to do with the Bundesliga club, proving his worth, and even proved me wrong in my last prediction. I said Monterrey would be the upset against Dortmund, and it was a really close affair. Sergio Ramos nearly had his type of moment there in the dying minutes. In the attacking press Monterrey pulled off, Dortmund were definitely scared towards the end of the match. A narrow 2-1 victory, and of course Dortmund have had some more dominant displays in this tournament, but scoreline wise it has always been narrow. A draw with Fluminense, a 4-3 victory against Mamelodi Sundowns, where they did not really play so well in that match, to be honest. I think they got a bit lucky that Mamelodi Sundowns did make some clumsy errors. 1-0 against Ulsan despite being much more dominant, and then yeah, that narrow affair with Monterrey. I think Dortmund will go into the next season feeling a bit more positive regardless of what happens in this fixture, obviously. They're still shaping up and are suffering some key injuries like Schlotterbeck in the back line. That's a huge loss. He won't be available until October. I think that could be a weakness for them in this match. Kobel has obviously been holding his own at moments. Both Real Madrid defeating this side in the last 2 Champions League campaigns, one of them being in the final as well. I think they'll be able to do the job here, and maybe with a crazy scoreline victory of 4-2. Xabi Alonso as well is already very familiar with Bundesliga sides, having managed Bayer Leverkusen for the last few seasons, finishing one of them invincible as well. He's obviously still getting used to life at his former club that he used to play for, but I think he's adjusting very well. Despite only beating Juventus 1-0 in the last round, they had a lot more opportunities than the Italian club. I'm not surprised Real Madrid have made it this far in the stage, but I am surprised with someone who's been scoring the most goals for them. Gonzalo Garcia has already gotten 3 goals and 4 direct goal contributions in this Club World Cup campaign. Mbappe's definitely been missed, but the 21-year-old has been filling the shoes in nicely. Backline suffering some injuries, but they're also utilizing their new signings like Dean Huijsen. Courtois also made a lot of saves and only conceded 2 goals so far in this tournament. I'm sorry, Dortmund. I know I underestimated you guys a lot. Maybe it was a bit unjustified to rule you out against Monterrey, but against Real Madrid, a side you don't have the best head-to-head record against, I think it's fair to favor Los Blancos here, but we'll see what happens. All right, so I'll briefly pick the rest of the bracket now. Let's go back to that other side with Chelsea versus Al Hilal. This is tough. I obviously do want to see what happens in the quarterfinals as well. If Chelsea do progress, how convincingly they do it against Palmeiras. But you know what? In this stage, I would really not be surprised if they lose here. Al Hilal already took down a Premier League club. Why couldn't they do it again? I have the Saudi club making it to the final. But for the other side of the bracket, PSG versus Real Madrid, Mbappe facing his former club. Obviously, if it happens, he hasn't played some of the other matches as he had some illness, but he got subbed on against Juventus. I could see him starting in this fixture. I've been backing PSG since the beginning of this tournament though, and I'm going to have to stick with them here. I think Xabi Alonso will definitely improve with Real Madrid as the season goes on, but it might just be a bit too early, and I could see them losing narrowly here. And yeah, that answers the question for my final as well. I am still backing PSG to win the whole thing. That would be insane though if Inzaghi loses back-to-back finals against the same club while he's managing a different one within a month or so. Sorry, but nothing's changed in that regard. I could see either Real Madrid or Bayern winning the whole thing as well. I do see it being someone from that side of the bracket, but I am going to stick with PSG as my #1 favorites. Let me know though in the comments, will they slip again? Who do you have winning the whole thing? We will obviously find out everything soon. Guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and yeah, for the next few weeks, shorts will be coming out, just we'll take a break from long form content. I will see you all very soon regardless though. Take care, Loco Noite.